Have you ever heard someone say, "I'll love you forever"? It's a beautiful promise, isn't it? It feels like a shield, something that can protect you from the storms of life. I thought I had that shield. My wife, Sarah, and I built our lives on that promise. We had a home filled with laughter, shared dreams, and the kind of comfort you can only find with your soulmate. She used to look at me, her eyes sparkling, and say, "Our love is eternal. It never dies." I believed her. I clung to those words like a lifeline. But what happens when the person who promises you forever is the same one who buries that love in someone else's arms? This isn't just a story. This was my reality. It all started subtly. Little shifts in our routine that, at first, I dismissed as nothing. Late nights at the office became more frequent. Her phone, which used to lie face up on the coffee table, was suddenly always in her pocket or flipped over. When I'd ask about her day, the vibrant, detailed stories were replaced with short, vague answers. "It was fine," she'd say, her eyes glued to her screen. I tried to tell myself I was being paranoid. We were busy. Life gets in the way. But deep down, a cold knot of dread began to form in my stomach. The real wake-up call came on our anniversary. I had planned a special evening reservations at the Italian place where we had our first date. A small, thoughtful gift I knew she'd love. I spent the afternoon feeling excited, that familiar flutter of love in my chest. But when she came home, she barely looked at me. She said a last-minute work crisis had come up, and she had to go back to the office. "I'm so sorry, honey. We'll celebrate this weekend, I promise." The disappointment was a physical ache. I ate alone that night, the empty chair across from me a screaming symbol of the growing distance between us. The weekend came and went with more excuses. That's when I knew I couldn't ignore it anymore. The doubt was eating me alive. With a heavy heart and trembling hands, I did something I never thought I would. I looked at our shared phone records. My heart sank. There was one number, repeated over and over, with calls and texts at all hours of the day and night. It wasn't a work colleague. My hands were shaking as I scrolled through the messages. The words were a blur of "I miss you," "Can't wait to see you," and heart emojis that weren't meant for me. The world tilted on its axis. Every memory, every "I love you," every shared glance suddenly felt like a lie. The woman who had promised me forever had built a separate life, a secret world where I didn't exist. The pain was indescribable. It wasn't just sadness. It was a profound sense of betrayal that hollowed me out completely. The foundation of my entire world had crumbled, and I was left standing in the rubble, alone. How do you confront someone about a betrayal that deep? The woman I loved was a stranger. I decided to confront her. I didn't yell. I didn't scream. I just sat her down, my voice barely a whisper, and asked, "Who is he?" The color drained from her face. For a moment, she tried to deny it, but the evidence was undeniable. The truth finally came out in a torrent of tears and broken apologies. He was a coworker. It had started as a friendship, she said, an escape from the routine of our lives. An escape. Our life, the one I cherished, was something she needed to escape from. Her words were like daggers. She said she still loved me, but she was confused. She said our love story had become boring, that the spark had faded. Hearing her use our life together as an excuse for her betrayal was the cruelest blow. She had taken our shared history and twisted it into a justification for her actions. The love, she said, would never die. She had willingly smothered it, seeking a fleeting thrill in someone else's arms. The promises of forever were just empty words she had discarded when they became inconvenient. The days that followed were a fog of grief and anger. Every corner of our home was a reminder of her betrayal. The bed we shared, the kitchen where we cooked together, the photos on the wall of our smiling faces. They were all tainted. I felt like I was losing my mind. Some days, the anger was a roaring fire, and I wanted to lash out. Other days, a deep, crushing sadness would wash over me, and I could barely get out of bed. I was mourning the loss of my wife, yes, but I was also mourning the loss of the man I used to be, the trusting, happy man who believed in forever. It was during this time that I realized something crucial. Her actions were not a reflection of my worth. Her choice to cheat, her decision to lie, that was about her insecurities, her lack of character, her inability to communicate. It had nothing to do with me not being enough. It was a bitter pill to swallow, but it was also liberating. I started to see that my healing wasn't about trying to fix what she had broken. It was about rebuilding myself piece by piece from the ground up. I started small. I packed away her things, creating a space that was just mine. I reconnected with old friends who I had drifted away from, and their support was a lifeline. I threw myself into my hobbies, rediscovering the joy of things I loved to do on my own. I started going to the gym, channeling my anger and frustration into something productive. Each small step was a victory, a reclamation of my own life and my own happiness. It was a slow, painful process, but with every passing day, I could feel myself getting stronger. I learned that true strength isn't about avoiding pain. It's about walking through it and coming out the other side. It's about understanding that you cannot control other people's actions, but you can control your reaction. You can choose to let betrayal destroy you, or you can choose to let it be the catalyst for building a better, stronger version of yourself. The scars will always be there, a reminder of the battle I fought, but they are not signs of weakness. They are signs of survival. They are proof that even when love dies, you don't have to die with it. If you are going through something similar, please know that you are not alone. The pain you feel is valid, but it will not last forever. Focus on yourself, lean on your friends and family, and remember your worth. You deserve a love that is honest, loyal, and true. And most importantly, you deserve to love yourself enough to walk away from anything less. My story had a painful chapter, but I refused to let it be the end. I am writing a new story now, one where I am the hero, and it's a future I'm finally excited about. Thank you so much for listening to my story. If this resonated with you, please consider hitting that like button and subscribing to the channel for more content. Your support means the world. Take care of yourselves.